Saturn hangs in darkness, wrapped in a set of rings so large and so familiar that they almost feel permanent. For generations, they have been the image of Saturn, not its clouds, not its storms, the rings. From a distance, they appear motionless, balanced, timeless. A bright band circling a giant planet.
We see the elegant structures.
Nothing about the view
Saturn,
suggests urgency.
yet subtle.
Nothing suggests loss. And yet, hidden inside that calm image, a process is already underway. The rings are changing. Not dramatically enough to see with the naked eye. Not quickly enough to notice over a human lifetime. But continuously. The question is no longer whether change is happening.
While the rings appear stable,
The question is how long the
faint
rings can
descending
survive it.
particle curtains reveal a
Look
hidden
closely at the
transfer.
ring system, and the illusion of permanence begins to weaken. The rings are not solid structures. They are made from countless pieces of ice and rock, ranging from tiny grains to larger fragments, all moving around Saturn together. For a long time, their existence seemed to support a comfortable conclusion. The rings are enormous. They have survived for ages. Therefore, whatever losses occur must be insignificant. That explanation feels reasonable, while Saturn remains framed by the same bright circles year after year. The rings still look complete, still look stable, still look like they belong there. Then evidence began to point somewhere unexpected. Individual particles were not remaining safely in orbit. Some were leaving. Not outward into space, downward, toward Saturn itself. Far above the cloud tops, material from the rings was being pulled away from the structure that contained it. Tiny particles drifted along invisible pathways shaped by gravity and magnetic forces. The movement was subtle, but it was real.
What appears as a durable
Saturn was receiving
luminous
material
structure
from its
is in
own
fact
rings.
slowly eroding.
The image changes when you picture it. The familiar rings suspended above the planet. Beneath them, a slow stream of particles descending toward the atmosphere. A planetary landmark quietly shedding pieces of itself. The rings still appeared intact, but appearance and reality were beginning to separate. The next question was unavoidable. If material is escaping, how much is being lost? At first, scale seemed reassuring. The rings are vast, stretching across distances that dwarf entire worlds. Surely a structure that large could absorb small losses indefinitely. A few particles falling toward Saturn would hardly matter. The rings would remain. The inventory was simply too large. But once scientists began treating the rings as inventory, as a finite reservoir, rather than a permanent fixture, the story shifted. Every particle mattered. Every grain leaving orbit belonged to a supply that could not naturally return. The rings were no longer just a beautiful feature. They were a stockpile, a measurable quantity. And somewhere within that quantity, material was steadily disappearing. The image returns. The rings above, Saturn below. The flow continuing. Not a catastrophe. Not a collapse. A transfer. A slow movement of mass from one place to another. Time became part of the story. Not days. Not years. Immense stretches of planetary time. The kind of timescale that allows change to hide inside apparent stability. Because a structure can be losing material continuously while still looking almost unchanged. A cliff can erode while remaining recognizable. A monument can weather while preserving its silhouette. The rings possess the same deception. They endure. And because they endure, they appear permanent. Yet endurance and permanence are not the same thing. Then came observations that increased the pressure. The losses appeared larger than many had assumed. The phenomenon became known as ring rain. Material from the rings was reaching Saturn's upper atmosphere. The process was not theoretical. It was observable. The defining feature of the planet was feeding material back into the planet itself. The contradiction sat at the center of the story. Saturn is the host of the rings, the world that gives them their identity. But Saturn is also helping remove them. The planet and the rings are linked together in a relationship that slowly consumes the very feature most people associate with Saturn. The comfortable explanation begins to fail. If losses were truly negligible, why is ring rain occurring at all? If the rings were effectively permanent, why does material continue leaving the system? The rings still exist. The rings still look magnificent. But the old assumption no longer fits the evidence. Something can be durable without being eternal. Something can survive for immense periods while still moving toward an ending. The countdown is not measured by clocks. It is measured by mass. How much remains? How much leaves? How long the balance can continue? That does not mean Saturn's rings are about to vanish. Far from it. The process unfolds across timescales far beyond human experience. No one alive today will watch the rings disappear. No civilization will witness them fading year by year. The danger is not immediacy. The danger is inevitability. The rings are living on a finite inventory, and every particle that falls toward Saturn slightly reduces what remains. Return to the image from the beginning. Saturn suspended in darkness. Its bright rings stretching outward in elegant arcs. At first, the view seems to represent permanence, a feature so iconic that it feels inseparable from the planet itself. Now the same image carries a different meaning. Those rings are not frozen in time. They are not untouched. They are not eternal. Somewhere within that shining structure, particles are already leaving, already descending, already becoming part of Saturn. The rings remain one of the most recognizable sights in the solar system, but they are no longer a symbol of permanence. They are a temporary phenomenon, enduring against loss. A planetary masterpiece still standing, still beautiful, still recognizable, and, particle by particle, slowly disappearing.